All right, so it's about 1 o'clock on the hour, so we'll go ahead and get started here. Today's Friday, December 20th, 2024. Thank you for joining the December 2024 HOA Forum presented by the Colorado HOA Information and Resource Center. The topic of this month's presentation is HOA complaints. My name is Nick Altman. I'm the HOA Information Officer. We will be answering questions via the Q&A feature on the bottom, and my colleagues Amanda Lopez and David Donnelly will assist me in answering those questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the Q&A feature on the bottom of your Zoom panel. So just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. This presentation will be recorded and uploaded to the division's YouTube channel. You can find the link to our channel at the end of this presentation, where you can view other videos about HOA and general real estate topics. If throughout the session you have questions, again, drop them into the Q&A icon. And if we didn't get to your question, feel free to shoot us an email after the presentation, and we'll put our email address on the slides, and we will try and answer those as quickly as we can. And lastly, the slides and a link to this video will be posted on the Division of Real Estate's website within a couple of business days of this presentation. So the information in this presentation should not be construed to be legal advice. It is intended for educational purposes only. If you have any legal questions, you should consult with a qualified, licensed attorney. So to understand HOA complaints in Colorado, it should be helpful to first understand the legal framework for HOAs. So in Colorado, HOAs, or also known as common interest communities, are governed by the Colorado Common Interest Ownership Act, or commonly abbreviated CCIOA. This law defines the rights of unit owners as well as those bestowed upon the association. It also defines the responsibility of an association as directed by its executive board. The Colorado Common Interest Ownership Act provides for the enforcement of those rights and responsibilities through civil litigation. The law became effective on July 1st, 1992. And I thought it was important to include the legislative declaration. And the legislative declaration, as found in section 3833.3-102, states, "The General Assembly hereby finds, determines, and declares as follows, that the continuation of the economic prosperity of Colorado is dependent upon the strengthening of homeowner associations in common interest communities financially through the setting of budget guidelines, the creation of statutory assessment liens, the granting of 6 months lien priority, the facilitation of borrowing, and more certain powers in the association to sue on behalf of the owners, and through enhancing the financial stability of associations by increasing the association's powers to collect delinquent assessments, late charges, fines, and enforcement costs." There's currently no regulatory oversight of HOAs in Colorado, and individual homeowners must assert their rights in civil court. So community association manager licensing and regulation existed in the form of the Community Association Manager Program, housed in the Division of Real Estate from July 1st, 2015 to July 1st, 2019. In May of 2019, the General Assembly passed House Bill 19-1212, which concerned the recreation of the CAM licensing program. The bill would have continued the CAM licensing program administered by the division for 1 year. However, on May 31st, 2019, the governor vetoed House Bill 19-1212, and the CAM program expired on June 30th, 2019. As such, there is currently no licensing or regulation of community association managers in Colorado. So the HOA Information and Resource Center was created by House Bill 10-1278 and became effective January 1st, 2011. The HOA Center serves as a resource for consumers to understand their basic rights and duties under the CCIOA. For more information, you can view section 1210-801 of the Colorado Revised Statutes. The HOA Information Officer acts as a clearinghouse for information concerning the basic rights and duties of unit owners, declarants, and unit owners associations under the CCIOA. And in 2024, a sunset review of the HOA Center was conducted, and the sunset review recommended continuing the HOA Center for 13 years. The sunset reviews are administered by the Colorado Office of Policy, Research, and Regulatory Reform. So what does the HOA Center do? The HOA Center provides information to homeowners regarding their basic rights and responsibilities. It gathers, analyzes, and reports information through complaints and HOA registrations. It creates resource materials and provides educational materials and forums. The HOA Center provides and maintains a website with information for the public. It registers HOAs in accordance with 3833.3-401, subsection 1, and it also provides an annual report to the state legislature. What the HOA Center does not do is act as a regulatory program. It does not mediate or arbitrate. It cannot provide legal advice. It does not act as an advocate. It cannot assess fines or penalties, and it does not enforce an HOA's failure to register. So when considering whether to file an HOA complaint, it can be helpful to understand the difference between HOAs and CAMs. An HOA is a homeowners association governed by an executive board of directors. The directors are elected by the unit owners or the homeowners in an election held according to the HOA's governing documents. A CAM, on the other hand, is a community association manager hired by the executive board of directors pursuant to a written contractual agreement. The hiring of a CAM is usually done in agreement by the board, although the HOA president may have this sole authority. According to the CCIOA, the CAM contract shall be terminable for cause without penalty to the association and shall be subject to renegotiation. That's in section 3833.3-302 4A. The CAM reports to the HOA and carries out the wishes of the elected board of directors. It's important to note here that the HOA is not the CAM and the CAM is not the HOA. Confusion commonly exists when trying to differentiate these two distinct entities. When filing an HOA complaint, please make every effort to identify both entities, assuming your community is professionally managed by a CAM. So the HOA Center is statutorily required to administer a complaint program. Section 1210-801 states the HOA Information Officer shall track inquiries and complaints and report annually to the director regarding the number and types of inquiries and complaints received. Previous HOA annual reports are available to review on our website, and no jurisdiction has been provided the HOA Center to investigate any complaints received. Anyone may submit a complaint by clicking on the File a Complaint Online button at https://dre.colorado.gov/filing-HOA-complaint. Printable complaint forms are also available for download and printing purposes. Printed complaint forms must be submitted either via email to the email address provided on the slide there, or via USPS to Department of Regulatory Agencies, Division of Real Estate, attention HOA Information and Resource Center, 1560 Broadway, Suite 925, Denver, Colorado, 80202. All right, so part of this presentation includes sort of a walkthrough on how to file a complaint using our online system. And if you bear with me a second, I'm going to switch my screen over so that we can do a walkthrough of our online system. All right. Okay, you should be seeing a web browser here on your screen. Okay. So first we'll navigate to the Division of Real Estate website, and that is dre.colorado.gov. And you'll want to navigate to the HOA Center website. We can do that by going to Consumers. Actually scroll down, HOA Center. Get that out of the way now. So once we're on the HOA Center website, you can click on File a Complaint. And you'll scroll down to File a Complaint Online. Then you can click the File Your Complaint button. So I guess it's good to have information ahead of time before you decide to file a complaint. Part of that information includes knowing the name of your HOA. So you'll want to use the business name DBA field here. And I do have a demonstration account that we can use for this purpose. It's just called Nick's Incredible HOA. So I'll show you the name here. So this is how it's named, Nick's Incredible HOA. Just a handy feature to know when navigating our search tool here. You only have to enter just one keyword, so you can just enter Nick's in this example, and the system should be able to pick up the entire name of the HOA. So once our system, and you're going to ask, well, what if I don't know the name of my HOA, or what if my HOA is not registered? If that's the case, you would just go to if you go back a screen, you can click on manual entry. Down here on the bottom left, if you can see that manual entry right there, you'll click manual entry and enter as much information as you know. And we should be able to identify and locate your HOA if you're using this, but we do prefer that you know the name of your HOA ahead of time. So assuming we know that our HOA name is Nick's Incredible HOA, we'll click on the detail button here on the left. This is our licensee page. It contains public-facing information about the HOA, as well as who the management company is. If any CAM manages the HOA, it should be listed here. If we dive into this further, the address should be the address of the HOA. If there's a physical street address, otherwise it would be the cross streets, the two major cross sections that are nearest the HOA. The phone number is going to be the telephone number provided by the designated agent. Secretary of State ID is the ID number from the Colorado Secretary of State that is generated when the HOA is initially incorporated, or when the articles of incorporation are filed with the Secretary of State's office. And this number helps us a lot, and Amanda can also speak to this, but this number helps us, the HOA Center, identify your HOA. Further down, pretty standard, we have number of units, HOA type, whether it's a planned community or a condominium. The registration number will always contain HOA followed by a period and 4 zeros. But the most important part is just these last 5 numbers here. So if you know that your ID number is 56452, another handy tip here is you can search using the last 5 numbers of the ID number. If we go back here, click clear form, you can paste that into the license number field, and it should also look up your HOA. So now that we've identified our HOA, we'll click on File Complaint here, and we will click on the license number. So the first screen here is just asking that you've got the correct organization or the correct HOA, and you'll just go through and verify this information is the correct one. You'll click Next down here, and you can see on the left here there's side boxes about progress as you're moving through. So this next box is going to be the information about the complainant. The complainant is the party filing the complaint. So as the complainant, you'll enter your information here. You do have an option to file anonymously if you wish. And If you are filing anonymously, obviously you wouldn't enter your first name and last name, but you'd enter the business name. In this case, the business name is the name of the HOA. So I'll just enter Nick's Incredible HOA. And actually, excuse me, this would not be the HOA. This would just be left blank. So if you were representing a business, you would enter your business name here. And for a first name and last name, should just be able to do NA here for not applicable. All right, and then the next box is just asking for complainant's license information. It's not required, so you can just click next here. It asks a second time. You can just click next again. So now we're at the complaints information summary and details page. This is just going to be the body of your complaint. So, and you'll state the issue, your concerns and issues. It's best if you can take the time to organize your thoughts and all information regarding your complaint. That way the HOA Center can effectively parse through your complaint for the issues. So that's the box for that. And then number 6 here, you are able to upload documentation if you wish. Things that might help are just, invoices, which help identify the community manager, or if you wish, you can upload your declaration of covenants or articles of incorporation, because those legal documents have the name of the HOA identified most often at the top. Please put a phone number here for where the division might contact you in the event that we would need further information. You'll click next, go to the next screen, complaint legal information. So even though these questions are starred, they have a red asterisk. These are not required for HOA complaints. This system is built off of the other licensees in the division of real estate. So it would be for real estate brokers mainly. So these questions are generally directed toward the broker complaints and the broker investigations. However, you can still answer yes or no if you wish. In this demonstration, we'll just go through and answer no to all of these. And we'll click next. If you have an attorney, witness, or other persons with knowledge of the complaint, you may list them here if you wish, although you don't have to. And you'll click next. So this last page, we're on the review page. I would recommend printing a review of this and saving it to your desktop or for your records, just in case we ever need to locate your complaint in the future. And you'll just go through here and verify all the information is correct. And then you'll click next. And the last page here is just confirming that you wish to submit a complaint to the Division of Real Estate. And you will be contacted around 12 to 14 days after your complaint's been reviewed by one of us at the HOA Center here. And typically it doesn't take that long, but we try our best to respond to complaints in a timely fashion. So then you'll click finish down here, finish. And once you're taken back to this file your complaint screen, that means that you've officially filed your complaint with the Division of Real Estate. So let me hop back to my presentation here. Right. So that summarizes how to file a complaint using our online system. And next slide here. So this next slide is used to show our physical HOA complaint form, which is essentially what we just entered on the online system. So again, section 1 is information about the complainant. So you'll enter your first and last name, your mailing address. So when we ask for the mailing address, typically that's where you receive mail. I know that sounds obvious, but that the mailing address field is going to be different from the property address, which is the subject of this complaint. It may be the same, but usually it's different. So the property address, which is the subject of this complaint, is going to be the unit address where the complainant is experiencing issues with their community association. Sometimes, why do I say that? Because sometimes we have folks who live out of state, investors who live out of state, and they're filing a complaint where the subject property is their investment property. Other times we have property owners who actually live in the address where they're experiencing issues. So that's why we differentiate between these two addresses on this complaint form. Phone number is the phone number you wish to be contacted at. Same with the email address. Regarding the property subject to this complaint, the form asks to identify yourself as the owner or the tenant. A completely separate set of rights apply to tenants when we're considering HOA complaints as it does owners. Section 2 is information about the HOA, which is the subject of this complaint. Now, this is where we like to stress the importance of differentiating the HOA and the CAM, because a lot of times people put their CAM as the HOA, and that's not helpful. It's best, we prefer that you identify your HOA as is reflected on the Colorado Secretary of State's website or your Declaration of Covenants, the legal name of the HOA. So does a management company manage your HOA? Yes or no? Who is your complaint about? You can select the HOA board or the declarant developer. We don't get too many complaints about the declarant developer. Next field is name of the HOA, and we do prefer, as I just mentioned, the legal name of the HOA. Second page here, so you can get a zoom in there. Address of HOA. A lot of times people don't know how to fill out this field. They just don't have an address. There is no address for the HOA. We would prefer search our registration database, A, just to see that your HOA is registered with us, B, to see what the designated agent entered as that HOA's address. That would probably be what we prefer on this form. Phone number of the HOA, similar. A lot of times, there is no generic phone number for the HOA, but the CAM's phone number would probably be okay here. Same with the email address. Really just anything to help as the Division of Real Estate identify your HOA. Type of HOA, condo, planned community, co-op, or timeshare. And then the total or estimated number of units, lots, or homes located in your HOA. And section 3 is the body of the complaint. This is where you'll list your issues and concerns. And then we'll go to the last page here. And page 3 of the physical complaint form here. Check in the box. You certify that the information supplied is true and accurate to the best of the complainant's knowledge, and signature and date, and then the address where you may send your complaints. And you're welcome to, as a complainant, you're welcome to download this form and email it to Dora_realestate_website at state.co.us. You can also mail it via US mail to the address listed there. All right, just moving on. So what happens once a complaint is received by the Division of Real Estate or the HOA Center? Complaints are categorized for the issues and concerns they contain and then entered into a statistical database. The HOA officer then drafts an acknowledgement letter, which contains some basic information and resources, as well as any information specific to the issue, which may be helpful. The acknowledgement letter is provided to the complainant only. It is not provided to the respondent. The respondent is the party being complained against. The HOA Center does not contact the respondent. However, the complainant is welcome to share the acknowledgement letter with anyone they like, including the respondent or any other parties that they're having issues with. The HOA Center does not have any ability to investigate any complaint submitted. So what are some of the nature of the complaints that we see here at the HOA Center? Here's a bulleted list here of the categories that we've identified, with the highlighted bullet points being the most common types of complaints. And those include issues with accounting and or finances, such as assessments, fines, interest. And typically that's kind of determined to be, like the the invoices are kind of confusing, or the CAM it continues to send an invoice to a homeowner who's already paid that invoice, or generally just kind of confusing financial statements, issues kind of like that. Communication with homeowners and the board is self-evident. Homeowners just don't know what's going on, or nobody's communicating with them. Excessive assessments, fees, or fines, collections and or foreclosure. Typically that includes HOA, excessive HOA dues, or the board is raising dues without a proper vote being conducted, issues of that nature. Failure to produce records. The unit owner might request a record pursuant to the association's record request policy, and the board or the manager just simply refuses or rejects the request. Improper and or selective enforcement of covenants is just how it sounds. A board member or a community manager is enforcing the covenants not in a proper manner, or not in a manner reflected by the actual governing documents. Selective enforcement is me as a board member. My friend lives next door. His weeds are growing out of control, but he's my friend, so I'm not gonna issue him a violation. However, a homeowner B down a block has the same weeds, and I'm going to issue them a violation because I don't know them. That might be an example of selective enforcement. Not following governing documents, similar to improper enforcement, except the board is just not following governing documents. And then lastly, you're not performing maintenance and or repairs. A lot of issues with, just landscaping not being done, overhanging tree branches, bushes not being trimmed, snow not being plowed, and so on and so forth. So what are some possible solutions for some of these common HOA complaints? So accounting and or finances. So while there's no statutory requirement that associations in Colorado conduct regular audits, the association's governing documents might require periodic audits. Therefore, it's important to carefully review the governing documents for any provisions that would require a periodic audit or an audit under certain circumstances. The CCIOA only requires an audit at the discretion of the executive board, or if an audit is requested by the owners of at least 1/3 of the units represented by the association. However, in order for a unit owner requested audit to occur, the association must have annual revenues or expenditures of at least $250,000. For more information, please see section 33.3-303, subsections 4B-I of CCIOA. What about communications with homeowners and boards? So if you're having difficulty communicating with the board or management company, it is recommended to contact them first in writing, addressing the issue and pointing to those specific sections of the governing documents which are believed to be in violation of, or where there might be an issue. If that method is unsuccessful, it's recommended to contact them again in writing. However, the second time via certified mail with return receipt requested. This will ensure that someone will have to sign for the correspondence and might escalate the issue to a senior employee's review or board member's review. If that part is unsuccessful, it's recommended to engage the HOA in alternative dispute resolution, which typically involves mediation. The Colorado Judicial Branch's Office of Dispute Resolution offers affordable access to qualified mediators and has several professionals that specialize in issues related to common interest communities. The Mediation Association of Colorado also has a Find a Mediator tool to assist in finding a professional mediator nearby that specializes in HOA homeowner issues. And then if alternative dispute resolution is unsuccessful, the last resort would be to contact an attorney and possibly file suit in court. For excessive assessments, fees, and fines, it's recommended to first attend board meetings and voice your concern as a concerned unit or homeowner, and just ask questions. You have a right to ask questions at the meetings. Why are the dues being increased? Is this in accordance with the approved budget? If not, why? Why has this not already been approved in the proposed budget? Review your governing documents to determine how assessments may be raised, if at all, or if there is potentially a cap on the amount the board can raise dues per year. If you're a board member, make sure to review your governing documents and that any proposed dues increases are not in violation of such a cap. And then finally, vote in community elections for candidates who share your same vision for the community. So maybe one of the reasons why the board is proposing a dues increase might not jive with your personal preferences about how the community should be ran. So it's important for that concerned homeowner to attend the meetings, attend the elections, and vote for candidates who they believe will most effectively run their community. For a failure to produce records, there is a section in CCIOA that specifically addresses this. It's section 3833.3-317. And this section defines what records must be kept by the association for the purposes of retention and production to the unit owners. It's helpful in understanding which records, quote unquote, must be produced, which may be produced, and those records which must be withheld from production. Be sure to read through the governing documents to determine if the community already has a records request policy. If it does, make sure you're following that policy. According to this law, if the board does not provide the request records within 10 days of the request, and there's no scheduled board meeting within 30 days after the request when the request is made, then you'll have to engage your board in alternative dispute resolution or speak with an attorney. Unit owners might have the opportunity to recover penalties of $50 per day, up to a maximum of $500, or the unit owner's actual damages sustained as a result of the refusal, whichever is greater. All right, improper and/or selective enforcement of covenants. For this, generate the interest of fellow homeowners. Let your neighbors know what's going on, and see if you can get on the same page about possibly removing the offending board member. There is a process laid out in CCIOA for removing board members, and that's section 3833.3-303. And again, vote for individuals in elections who share your same vision for the community. For not performing maintenance and/or repairs. So in terms of general maintenance responsibility, Colorado law is very limited in its direction to associations with performing maintenance. How and when maintenance is performed is within the purview of the board. Section 307 of CCIOA states that except to the extent provided by the declaration, subsection 2 of the section, or section 313.9, the association is responsible for maintenance, repair, and replacement of the common elements, and each unit owner is responsible for maintenance, repair, and replacement of such owners' units. The declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions will most likely outline the common elements of the community, as well as any limited common elements and how those might be allocated. With respect to the board's ability to hire a community manager, or the way they choose to conduct maintenance in the community, voicing your concern as a homeowner might be the extent to which a unit owner is able to influence the outcome. Skipped ahead there. But again, trying to get back to my slide there. And in covenant review situations, it might be best to contact an attorney or engage in alternative dispute resolution. All right, so this concludes today's presentation on HOA complaints and some of the issues that we see, the most common issues. I hope you did find this presentation informative. Let's just take a second here and check out our Q&A. I believe David was able to answer most of them. If not, let's see if I can answer any in here. Amanda, I know if you're on the call, were you able to see any questions there that could use some
Yes.
clarification on? Or
Yeah, I've been actually going through and answering a few of them. Um, so there are still some in here, of course. But yes, David and I have been going through. Let me see. Go down these. They're really good questions.
this is my
We
first
did
time.
have somebody asking, I'm trying to find out where that was. If you have, or I know they were looking for some examples of complaints or just existing complaints that there have been, or what type of complaints there have been. So I'm not sure if, we if you wanted to kind of go over what kind of complaints, I mean, we receive again. I mean, unless um I don't know if you wanted to go over that as far as what kind of complaints or what specific complaints that people, I guess she's trying to get examples of what kind of complaints we received. So if you wanted to answer that for
Yeah, I
her.
mean, for obvious reasons, we're not able to, go over
Right.
individual complaints, but
Sure.
this list here on the screen is, you can see this list, right? Sorry, I'm still hoping my screen share is still working here. It should say nature of HOA complaints there, but um,
Right.
this list is a pretty good indicator of the most common types of complaints that we receive here. Um, but for obvious reasons, we can't go over specific complaints for personal identifiable information. Um, we do have there's a CORA process, Colorado Open Records um, Act. That's what CORA stands for. HOA complaints are you may submit a CORA request for HOA complaints. Again, we don't notify the respondent that a complaint was filed against them, uh, mainly because we have no investigative authority. But our website does contain information on how to submit a CORA request for an HOA if the party so desired.
I'm going to answer a real quick question because I just put something into the Q&A about this, but the Corporate Transparency Act, many of you on this call very well might be familiar with this. I just wanted to make a quick comment about this, that a court out of Texas just issued a ruling a few weeks ago temporarily staying the enforcement of the Corporate Transparency Act. Therefore, however, that is on appeal, and so without going into the details of those court hearings or prognosticating on what might happen on appeal, the current status of the CTA is that it is on hold. However, this question essentially pertains to what is the Corporate Transparency Act and why does it exist? And in short, that is because the federal government believes that it is very important to curb terrorism and money laundering, which I think most anyone would agree is an important thing. There has been lots of debate back and forth on whether or not the Corporate Transparency Act applies to HOAs, though. Every ruling has said yes, it does apply to HOAs. That means board members and otherwise beneficial owners, which is someone that owns more than 25% of an association. Let's say I own 2 out of 4 units in my HOA. That's 50%. I would be a beneficial owner in that situation. What this ruling out of Texas did was said that it believes that the overall the law is not appropriate, and so they've never said anything to the extent of that HOAs are not subject to this. So it's something you're going to have to stay tuned to as laws. The HOA Center will certainly do its very best in the early part of next year to also issue HOA advisories regarding this. Again, this is a federal law. It is not a state law. It is not something that we are subject to here in the state of Colorado. As it is not something that was passed in Colorado, but it applies to all 50 states and protectorates as well of the United States. So just wanted to let everybody know about that because that is currently very much so in flux.
Yeah, thank you, David. That's certainly going to be a topic worth monitoring here in the next couple of weeks. Because I know there's deadlines there that the courts are need to adhere to. So we're definitely following that and stay tuned for any updates on that as well. I think and David, thank you for answering the questions in the Q&A there. I know there's been some good questions. If we weren't able to answer your question, feel free to send an email to Dora_DRE_HOA inquiries, and we will do our best to get to those. If there was nothing else, I believe this wraps up our presentation for this month. And wanted to thank everybody for attending today. I know it's we're ending a little before the top of the hour, but I hope everybody has a great holiday, and we will see you next time. Thanks again, everybody. All right, bye-bye.